Get 3 months of local news for just 99 cents a month. You'll get unlimited access to the news you need to stay engaged and connected to your community. Visit DuluthNewsTribune.com/subscribe now to get 3 months of local news for only 99 cents a month.
Hello, Northlanders. It's Tuesday, July 30th. I'm Wyatt Buckner, the Duluth News Tribune Minute, presented by Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union.
The average MPECU member saves over $785 a year in better rates and lower fees. And with MPECU, every ATM is your ATM. With their free checking program, you get ATM fee reimbursements at any ATM anywhere in the U.S. Check out Minnesota Power Employees Credit Union services online at mpecu.com or visit their offices in downtown Duluth, Arrowhead Road, or Miller Trunk Highway.
Now here's a look at today's headlines. Motorists could be able to take U.S. Highway 53 in and out of the Lincoln Park neighborhood by the end of the year. Pete Marthaler, Twin Ports Interchange Construction Manager for the Minnesota Department of Transportation, said in a monthly online meeting Monday that the on and off ramps connecting 21st Avenue West to Highway 53 Piedmont Avenue should be completed by the end of the construction season. But the final step of linking Highway 53 to Interstate 35 via the new Twin Ports Interchange is estimated to take at least another year after presumably indigenous human remains were discovered on site in February 2023. Construction work remains stopped in the immediate area of the Lincoln Park finding and in an area of the Garfield Avenue Interstate 535 portion of the project near the base of the Blotnick Bridge, where MnDOT reported, quote, findings of historical significance, end quote, in October. The Minnesota Indian Affairs Council state agency has authority over both areas. However, Marthaler said he expects construction in both areas to finish by November 2025. George Goggle-Eye Jr., a cultural resource manager for the Minnesota Indian Affairs Council, declined to provide additional information on the sites. While the area where the mainline section linking I-535 to the Blotnick Bridge will be rebuilt remains under Indian Affairs Council authority, 2 bypasses on either side of that area will open next month. Marthaler said a northbound bypass from the Blotnick Bridge is expected to open around August 16th, and the southbound bypass onto the bridge is expected to open by August 30th. Crews will then turn to reconstructing the northbound section of Garfield Avenue, which is expected to be completed by November 2024. In Lincoln Park, work is wrapping up on Lower Michigan Street and the Cross City Trail, which run parallel to I-35. Marthaler said they could reopen by early September. However, it is still unclear if MnDOT will have it ready all the way through 27th Avenue West by then, or just through 21st Avenue West, he said. A federal grand jury has indicted a former youth climbing instructor for possession of child pornography. The case against Lucas Matthew Kramer, 45 of Duluth, was unsealed at a hearing in U.S. District Court earlier this month. Kramer, who formerly served as climbing coordinator for the recreational sports outdoor program at the University of Minnesota Duluth, was first charged in State District Court in May, but those state charges have now been dropped, as he is expected to face stiffer potential penalties through the federal prosecution. Court documents indicate 2 tips were submitted to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children by Kik, an instant messaging app. The first was received in 2022 under the username NorthernBoy35, and the second came last year using his UMD email address. The Duluth Police Department's Internet Crimes Against Children unit executed a search warrant at his Lakeside neighborhood home in December, seizing multiple electronic devices. A criminal complaint says 2 phones were found to contain a total of 9 child pornography videos dated between May 2022 and December 2023. The videos reportedly depicted graphic sexual acts between adults and children as young as toddlers. Authorities had expressed concern that Kramer's role as a climbing instructor gave him, quote, access to juveniles of all ages, end quote, though court filings have not contained any allegations of misconduct toward any youth he coached. If convicted in federal court, where he is charged with just 1 count, he could face up to 20 years in prison, as the allegations involve victims under age 12. Kramer, who previously posted a $50,000 bond in the state case, has been arrested and released at least 3 times during the investigation. He remains out of custody with home detention, GPS monitoring, and a host of other supervised conditions. The defendant formally entered a not guilty plea at his arraignment, but no further court dates were set. A UMD spokesperson said earlier this year that Kramer was placed on leave when the allegations first surfaced, and that he was not assigned to any campus duties. Bass Pro Shops announced a new 70,000 square foot retail store is slated to open in Hermantown in 2025. Bass Pro Shops Outpost will be located in the former Camping World building at 4275 Haynes Road. Assistant City Administrator Joe Wickland confirmed Monday. Camping World closed last fall. Before Camping World, the building was home to a Gander Mountain and later Gander Outdoors. The new Bass Pro Shops Outpost location marks the Outdoor and Conservation Company's 5th Minnesota store, with the other sites in East Grand Forks, Owatonna, Rogers, and Woodbury. There are 173 retail stores in total throughout the U.S. and Canada, according to the company's website. Wickland said the company has been working with the city's building official and community development director to finalize changes to the building format and parking lot. The new store is expected to employ more than 100 people, according to the press release. Now Dan Williamson joins us with a special guest.
Thank you very much, Wyatt. I'm joined by one of our colleagues, the great Jay Gabler, Duluth News-Tribune arts and entertainment reporter. And Jay has a story that we'll be able to read in Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News-Tribune. It's also a story that you can find on our website before that at DuluthNewsTribune.com. Jay, you were telling me this is about a local press that has won a national award. What more can you tell us?
That's right, Dan. I visited with Jim Perlman, who is the publisher, editor, owner, pretty much is Holy Cow Press. That's a name that may be familiar to readers in the Duluth area. They've been based here since 1988 and have been operating as a press for 47 years, since 1977.
What's the story behind the name?
Well, Jim says it came to him in a dream. He said he was thinking about starting a press because he'd already worked in various literary magazines, and he went to sleep one night and woke up, and he said the name just came to him in the dream, Holy Cow, with an exclamation point. And he said his wife said, well, it came to you in a dream, you better use it. And here we are 47 years later. And the award, sorry, I forgot to mention that, the award is the 2024, and speaking of funny names, Lord Knows Award. That's LORD space NOSE. This is an annual Lifetime Achievement Award from the Community of Literary Magazines and Presses based in New York. And they only give one of these a year to someone who has had an exceptional lifetime achievement in literary publishing. So it really meant a lot for Jim to receive that award this year.
Very cool. Sounds like well-deserved. As far as takeaways go, first up, what was your takeaway on a personal side? And then second, what do you hope our audience takes away from this story?
Well, I was glad to have a chance to meet Jim. I knew his name, I knew of Holy Cow Press, but it was cool to get to visit with him in his living room, no less, and see him go through a stack of books that he's published and talk about the significance of each one. I feel like I have a new appreciation for what Holy Cow Press is and the impact it's had both locally and nationally. And I will certainly be taking another look at the press's extensive catalog of 125 titles that Jim has published over the course of his 47-year history and seeing which ones I still need to check off my Goodreads list.
Absolutely. How about some surprises? Anything our audience might not know?
Well, I didn't realize, Dan, I learned from Jim, who another of his accomplishments is he was one of the forces behind the creation of Duluth's Poet Laureate program. I had heard of Duluth's Poet Laureates, but I wasn't sure who our current Poet Laureate was. And the reason is because we don't have one. The program actually ended in 2020. So it ran from 2006 to 2020, and there was an organization and there were readings, and Duluth had a series of Poets Laureate. And in 2020, because of, long story short, COVID, the project dissolved. And so we no longer have Poet Laureates, although, who knows if it might come back again at some point in the future. I did learn Jim is proud of the program, even if it never comes back, in that it predated the Minnesota Poet Laureate program for the whole state. That didn't get instituted until 2007. And I learned that Governor Tim Pawlenty, who ended up, approving the program in 2007, he was then governor, had previously, before the existence of the Duluth program, vetoed a bill that would have created a Minnesota State Poet Laureate program. I looked up the veto letter from then Governor Pawlenty, and he said, I have some concern this will lead to calls, I'm reading verbatim, Dan. I also have some concern this will lead to calls for other similar positions. We could see requests for a state mime, interpretive dancer, or potter. I don't know, maybe Duluth needs a city mime, interpretive dancer, or potter. Anyway, things I learned writing this story.
Wow, very interesting. Jay, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks, Dan.
And again, you can read Jay's article in Wednesday's print edition of the Duluth News Tribune. You can also find it on our website before that at duluthnewstribune.com. Wyatt, back to you.
Thanks, Dan. Now here's a look at your forecast brought from the News Tribune's Northlandia podcast.
Good morning. The Duluth area weather forecast for today. Morning clouds, a little patchy fog early, giving way gradually to sunshine this afternoon, and a high temperature in the low to mid 80s. Wind becoming south around 5 miles an hour. Tonight, mostly clear with a low in the low to mid 60s, and then for tomorrow, mostly sunny. Slight chance of a shower, though not likely, and a high in the mid 80s. Showers and thunderstorms will be scattered about the area Wednesday night and Thursday. Temperatures again warm on Thursday with a high in the lower 80s. I'm Storm Tracker meteorologist John Wheeler.
Thank you to the Northlandia podcast for their support. The bi-weekly podcast explores curious and unique stories here in the Northland. The latest episode looks at the Iron Range artist who sent his work to Eleanor Roosevelt and others. You can find that episode and others at duluthnewstribune.com or wherever you also get this podcast. Reporting for today's episode was done by Jimmy Lovren, Tom Olson, and Brielle Bredston. Thank you for listening to Duluth News Tribune Minute. Have a great day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.